Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatamurandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshmanatam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swam Vedantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Parakamalom Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Shajivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishavitam Sa He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopikanta Radhakanta Namostate Namashresthamanamapi Sachi Puchamatra Surupam Rupam Tashagrajam Uruparam Matoram Gostavatam Radha Kundam Girivaram Aho Radhika Madhavayasyam Prapto Yasha Pratita Kripaya Shri Guru Tanatosmi Gaurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Bande Gurum Misha Bhakta Samapaitam Unatam Dwalam Rasam Shri Bhakti Shriyam Hari Parata Sundara Duti Kadamba Sandipata Sirada Kandas Paratu Vasachinandana Chaitanya Charanam Boja Makandaleo Bhaje Isham Prasadam Matrena Paramo Apyamo Bhavat Bande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bhaktanugraha Kataram Yena Kanapi Santustam Bhakti Tatayana Shradaya Bande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Krishna Bhavamritam Heya Asvadaya Sadayam Bhaktam Premi Diksham Asikshayat Pangam Lagayate Selam Mukkamavataya Kshrutam Tatkripatamaham Bande Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Duragami Patimayandasya Skala Paragate Maho Swakripayasti Danena Shantu Shantavalambanam Shri Rup Shri Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Echai Guru Karan Charana Vandana Yahoite Vignana Savista Param Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda There's a very nice verse Purusha Shakti Vivideya Shruyate Sabhavaki Jnana Bala Kriyacha Purusha Shakti Vivideya Shruyate that God has many different energies. Purusha Shakti, Shakti means potency, energy, powers. So the Lord has many different types of energies. Sabhavaki, that are acting naturally. Jnana, Kriya, Balacha. Jnana, Bala, Kriyacha. That are acting very naturally. In this material creation, we see the Lord's material energy. Like we look around us and we see cement, wood. We can hear water. Can you hear water? So that's an energy of God. Earth, water. You're sitting on earth. You're sitting on ceramic tiles, concrete, earth, then water, then fire. We're feeling a little warm today. It's a warm day in Phoenix. It's heat. There's heat coming from outside, from the sun. There's heat coming from within our body. A dead body is cold. So there is heat. And then air. You're feeling some air, ventilation. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind. Everyone has a mind. Am I correct? Or is there someone here who is mindless? Anyone here who doesn't have a mind? You have mind. You have intelligence. And we have false ego. False ego, I say everyone has false ego because the original reason for coming here to this material creation is because of false ego. That's why we came here, because of false ego. False ego means I'm big time. I'm the doer. I'm the controller. And God, well, he's not such a big timer. He's not so much of a controller. I'm more of a controller. I'm more big time than God. It's called false ego. So the Lord also has spiritual energies. We're going to talk a bit about the spiritual energies because yesterday was Radhastami. So I'll give you some examples of some spiritual energies. Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti. Icha Shakti, Icha means to desire. So the desire potency of the Lord. The predominating deity of the desire, Icha Shakti potency, is Krishna himself. Everything works by desire. First you desire, and then you do it. You were sitting at home and you were thinking, right now, 4 o'clock, let me go to the Phoenix temple. So first you desired, I will go. And then you did it. You got in your car, you got a lift, and here you are. So the Lord desired to create the creation. He simply glanced at it. And by that glance, which was imbued with his desire, the material creation came into being. So this is Icha Shakti. Icha Shakti meaning the desire potency. Then there's a Jnana Shakti. Jnana Shakti means the knowledge potency of the Lord. And this is represented by Vasudev. The Vasudev expansion of Krishna. So Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and Kriya Shakti. Kriya Shakti means activity. So this is Sankarshan. Sankarshan, Mul Sankarshan, and Maha Sankarshan, Mul Sankarshan. They are the Garbhodakshaya Vishnus, Karanadakshaya Vishnu, Shiradakshaya Vishnu. They do the things. So there's another division of the three energies of the Lord, which I want to describe. Sat, Chit, Ananda. You've heard this before? Has everyone heard this? Sat, Chit, Ananda. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sat, Chit, Ananda Vigraha. And Ade Ade Govinda Savakarana Karanam. Lord Brahma, praise. Ishvara Parama Krishna, what does that mean? I worship Krishna, who is Ishvara, controller, but not just any controller. He is Param controller. Param means supreme, best. I worship Krishna, supreme controller. Sat Chit Ananda, who has a body which is eternal. Sat, Chit, full of knowledge, and Ananda, full of bliss. So these are another three energies of God. So let's discuss them. The first one is Sat. Sat is eternality. It's the eternality function of the Lord. And the deity in charge, the Adistatri deity in charge of eternity is Balaram. Balaram is in charge of eternality. Sat. Chit means what? Full of knowledge. So the Adistatri deity in charge of knowledge is Krishna again. And I mentioned previously before, Jnana Shakti, knowledge, is Vasudeva. Vasudeva and Krishna are the same. And then the pleasure-giving potency, Anand. Anand means bliss. Is it not? Anand means bliss. So who is the Adistatri deity in charge of Anand or bliss? Radharani. Yes. So all three energies are one, and yet they're all different. This is the philosophy. They're all different. They're one and yet they're different. So Sat, Chit, Ananda. In the spiritual world and the material world, everything. The principle of existence or eternality is supported by Balaram. And the principle of knowledge, Samvit, is supported by Krishna himself. And the principle of enjoyment, pleasure, bliss, happiness, Ananda, is supported by Radharani. So in this material world, there is inequity. Things are not eternal, but still things exist. So they're existing by the potency of Sankrshan. And people have knowledge, but we don't have full knowledge. You don't know everything, past, present, and future, but you have some little knowledge. You know your name. You know where you live. You know who's your mother and father. I mean, you have some mundane knowledge. You can communicate with each other. So this knowledge is an aspect of the Sat-Chit potency, the Samvit potency of the Lord, controlled by Krishna. And in this material world, everyone has a degree of enjoyment. Isn't it? Like again, every time I come, I drive past Sugar Mill Casino. I can't help it. It's the only way I come. And every time I turn my head to the left and I look, and I see car park full. And even cars coming in on a Sunday afternoon, they want to lose their money. So what are they doing? They're gambling. But why are they gambling? They must derive some pleasure. No one does anything if you don't get pleasure from it. So you must be getting some pleasure from it. It may be perverted pleasure. It may be twisted pleasure. It may be reflected pleasure of the spiritual pleasure. But there is some pleasure there. Just like you have the sun shines into a mirror. And that reflection, it's not the real thing, it's a reflection. But still it gives light, isn't it? You can get blinded with the reflection of the sun. So the real pleasure is in the spiritual world. And the Adistatri deity in charge is Srimati Radharani. It's called Hladini Shakti. Hladini means pleasure, pure pleasure. But in this material world, there's a perverted reflection of that pleasure. And that comes out in the form of what we would call material enjoyment. So the spiritual world is variegated. There's many different types of enjoyment in the spiritual world, and there's many different types of enjoyment in the material world. Some people get enjoyment from gambling and losing their money, because they have the expectation they're going to win. Some people get a so-called type of enjoyment from getting drunk or intoxicated. So Saturday and Sunday is a big day for getting drunk. Some people, on a warm day like this, they go and do sport. Or they go to the beach and they're surfing. Or they're going around fishing. So they get some type of enjoyment from this. Some people just get in the car and they go for a Sunday afternoon drive. My parents used to go for a Sunday afternoon drive. It used to drive me nuts. They would drive me nuts while they were driving around the countryside. Oh, look at that wonderful house. Oh, look at that wonderful tree. And I was they were driving me mad. And I used to have to come and sit in the back like a good little boy. This is when I was 8 years old and 9 years old and 10 years old. So they get enjoyment from going for a Sunday afternoon drive. They're not going in any particular destination. They're not going anywhere. They're just driving around and looking at the countryside. So there is enjoyment in this material world. We cannot deny it. So where does this enjoyment come from? It's an aspect of the Ladini Shakti. What is the Ladini Shakti? The Ladini Shakti is the pleasure-giving potency of God, personified by Srimati Radharani. So therefore, all pleasure comes from Radharani. I'm taking you step by step philosophically to understand the position of Radharani. All pleasure comes from Radharani because she is the personification. She's the Sarup. She's the walking deity. She's the Murti of Ladini Shakti. And Ladini means pleasure. So wherever there is pleasure. But the problem is in the material world, the pleasure is twisted. It's perverted. Like, a kleptomaniac, a murderer, takes pleasure in murdering young children. It's perverted. He'll take pleasure in raping young girls or something. It's twisted. It's all twisted. So in the material world, pleasure is twisted. There are people that take pleasure in killing other people. They actually get a kick out of it. They'll hijack a car and they'll kill the people. We read about it in the newspapers. They actually get pleasure out of doing it. It's twisted pleasure. It's perverted pleasure. So that's not surprising because this whole material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So everything that goes on in the material world is twisted. It's perverted. When you go to a lake, there's a tree growing on the side of the lake. The tree is the real thing. But what you see in the water is what? A reflection. It's perverted. It's not even straight. It's twisted. And then when the water moves, the reflection moves. And then when you go down to the water and try to grab hold of the reflection, your hand goes through it. Nothing. So in this material world, pleasure is there, but it's perverted. It's twisted. It's not the real thing. And when you go to grab hold of it, pleasure, it just slips through your hands. It's not there. Would you agree? All of you have, you have money. Now, other people, their goal in life is money. But your goal is not to make money. I mean, you have to have a certain standard of living to pay the bills, to pay the telephone, to pay the bond. But you're not particularly interested in being very wealthy. As devotees, we're not particularly interested in living a long time. What's the point in living a long time? My grandmother lived to 103. It was a miserable old age. She should have died way before that. There are trees that live 5,000 years. Prabhupada gives the example, the Californian redwood tree, which is very massive, 300 feet high. It lives for 5,000 years. What's the point? Prabhupada said, rather you live a short life, like Sankaracharya. He lived for 36 years. Or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived for 48 years. Rather you live a short life full of meaning than a long life which is useless. So as devotees, we're not particularly interested in a lot of money. We're not interested in living a long time. And we're not particularly interested in becoming famous. You want to become famous? Like, Mbeki, Mugabe. You want to become famous like Nelson Mandela? Or like a film star, so you go to the gateway and behind you there's 100 people and they want your autograph. It's, as a guru we get a little bit of that, and I tell you, it's just not very satisfying. It's nice just to be left alone, to tell you the truth. So we're not interested in fame. We're not interested in making a lot of money. We need a certain income. We're not interested in having lots of children. We're not interested in becoming particularly famous or getting to the top of the corporate world. I'm now the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, and the Managing Director. We're not interested in these things. But there are many other people who are interested, and they derive some enjoyment from this, but it's perverted enjoyment. So the source of all enjoyment is Radharani. Radharani is the walking deity. She's the walking murti of Hladini Shakti. Right? So all pleasure comes from her. Now I'm going to take it one step further. In spiritual life, sometimes when you chant Krishna's name, sometimes Janmashtami, or perhaps yesterday Radhastami, you may have been chanting Krishna's name in a kirtan and you may have felt some ecstasy. Sometimes we call it bliss, you call it ecstasy. Of course, it's not the drug ecstasy, it's the real thing. Sometimes a few tears come to your eyes and you feel some pleasure. Now we call it bliss, we call it ecstasy, we call it mercy. Often we'll call it mercy. What is that? Technically speaking, what is that? It's a drop of a drop of a drop of the Hladini Shakti potency coming into your heart. And that small drop of a drop of a drop overfloods your heart, and your hair stands up on end, and your body shivers a little bit, and some tears come to your eyes. And in the advanced stage, when it becomes very advanced, tears flood the eyes, just like the Ganges or the Jamuna, just like this fountain. I mean, like a whole stream of tears come out. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would experience Sattvika Astika bhavs, the people around him would all come drenched with his tears. And his body would shake so much, it was like the waves going up and down. And his hairs would stand on end like thorns, like pricks. And his teeth would clatter. And the devotees thought his teeth will fall out of his mouth. They're clattering so much. And then his body would change color. It would change color from golden to white. These are advanced stages of spiritual ecstasy. And then his body would become very hard like wood. And then it would become very soft. And then sometimes the joints between his arms would become elongated, and his arm would become 4.5 feet long, and 6 inches would separate the joints. 6 inches would separate his neck. 6 inches would separate his leg joints. And sometimes the limbs of his body would enter into his body like that of a tortoise, Kurma Roop, Kurma, like a tortoise. Now these are very advanced symptoms of spiritual ecstasy. But it's Hladini Shakti. At our stage, all of these things are a little far away. But at least sometimes our hairs may stand up on end. At least with us, sometimes a few tears may come to the eyes. This is Hladini Shakti. It's the pleasure-giving potency of Krishna, and it's coming from Radharani. That's who it's coming from. You're getting some special mercy, and it's coming from Radharani or her associates or Mahaprabhu. Because Mahaprabhu is Radharani. Radha Bhav Duti Savalatam Naumi Krishna Sarupam. Mahaprabhu is in the bhav, the mood of Radharani. He is Radharani. Duti, he has the complexion, he has the reflection, and bhav, he has the mood. Just like sometimes you meet a man who has a feminine nature, isn't it? They call them homosexuals. Or not a homosexual, but he's very effeminate. A man, but he has the mentality of a woman. He has the subtle mind of a woman. So is he a man or is he a woman? He's actually a woman, but he's in a man's body because he acts just like a woman. So Mahaprabhu, he's Krishna, but he had the bhav of Radharani. So who is he? He's actually Radharani. So sometimes Gauranga gives that mercy. Or the associates of the Lord, like Nityananda, Advaita, Garadha, Srivas. It's not only the Lord himself that gives this Hladini Shakti. The Lord can give it, or his associates who have it can also give it, the Parakas. So Radharani can give it, Lalita, Vishaka. Rupa Goswami can give this, Raghunath, Bhaktivinoda Thakur can give it, Srila Prabhupada can give this little bit of Hladini Shakti. It's not just the Lord himself or Radharani herself, but the associates of the Lord can also give this. But this pleasure is actually Radharani. It's ultimately coming from her. It's coming from her. Now the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela chapter 4 explains that the essence, Sa, the word S-A-R-A means the essential ingredients. So the Sa, or the essence of Hladini Shakti is what? What is the essence? Prem. What is Prem? What is Prem? Love of God. So the essence of the Hladini Shakti is Prem. Hladini Sa Prem. That's the Bengali. The Sa, or the essence of this pleasure-giving potency, is Prem. Prem Sa Bhav. The essence of this love of God is emotion. It's called Bhav. Not Bhava Bhakti, but Bhav in the sense of emotion. Feeling towards Krishna. Bhav Parama Kasta. This Bhav, taken to its highest level, is called Mahabhav. And Srimati Radharani Thakurini Mahabhav. Mahabhav Thakurini. Radharani is the essence of this Mahabhav. Mahabhav means a particular type of emotion that a devotee has towards Krishna. It is very, very advanced. You cannot have Mahabhav in this material body. The material body is too delicate. The material body will disintegrate. It's like putting a 1 amp fuse into the national grid. The national grid is 300,000 volts, and hundreds of amps. You put in a 1 amp fuse, what's going to happen to the 1 amp fuse? It'll disintegrate. You won't even see it. There'll be nothing left of it. Won't it? Completely disintegrate. So Mahabhav will disintegrate your body. You need a spiritual body. So the essence of Hladini Shakti is Prem. Hladini Sa Prem. And the essence of Prem Sa Bhav, is this emotion towards Krishna. Bhav Paramakasta. This Bhav taken to its highest state is Mahabhav. And Sri Radha Thakurini Mahabhav, Srimati Radharani is the Murti, the deity, the walking deity of Mahabhav. So the next verse describes Bhavita Chitendra Yanra Nija Shakti Radha Kridaya Sahaya. That Radharani's body, her mind, her senses, her clothing, everything about her body is a transformation of Mahabhav. Her body is a transformation of Mahabhav. Her senses, her mind, even the cloth she's wearing, she wears a sari, it's a transformation of Mahabhav. Mahabhav means the highest emotion towards Krishna. Now we take an ordinary woman and we look at her body. What is that body a transformation of? Earth? Would you agree? What is inside the body? There is a lot of fluid. 70% fluid. Water, mucus, blood, and then you've got bone, you've got marrow, you've got fat, a little bit of hair. So what is the material body of a woman? What is that body a transformation of? Earth and water and some fire and some air, isn't it? Women are full of hot air. Sorry. Men also. And then a lady may wear a sari. What is that sari? What is it a transformation of? Silk? Cotton? Or plastic? They wear plastic saris. They wear jewelry. What is that? It's some gold. That's a metal. But Radharani, everything about her body is a transformation of Mahabhav. So the sari she wears is also conscious. It's not a dead object. You know, the flowers she wears, the jewelry she wears, it's conscious. And it's a transformation of Mahabhav. Mahabhav Vikar. Vikar means a transformation. It's conscious. So everything Bhavita Chitendriya Kaya, Krishna Niji Shakti Radha Kridaya Sahaya, that everything to do with Radharani's body. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 1, text 4, chapter 4, text 69-70. That Radharani's body is a complete transformation of Mahabhav. And her body, her mind, her intelligence, the clothing she wears, all her emotions are steeped in this Mahabhav. So this is the difference between, an ordinary female, who has a body which is full of gas and bad smells and sweats and tends to stink, and which gets old and gets diseases and which will die. And Radharani's body, or the body of Lalita and the body of Vishaka, or the body of Krishna himself. It's eternal. And everything, and their garments are also conscious and also eternal. So it's important we understand this. Otherwise we'll think that Krishna is an ordinary human being, Radharani is some ordinary woman, and their relationship is mundane, which is not the case. But many Hindus, they believe this. They think it's mundane. Because they cannot accommodate something spiritual. They try to understand it with their material understanding. Just like God is eternal. So they think, all right, eternal. That means he lives a long time. Well, who do I know who's very old? Oh, my great-great-grandfather. He's 105 years old, so he must be like my grandfather. And even the Christians, they have pictures of God, very old with a beard. I have some icons from Russia, hand-painted picture of Jesus and God. And God is an old man with a white pointed beard. And sitting on the lap is the Earth planet, and he's designing it. He's still designing the Earth planet. He stopped at South Africa and fell asleep. That's why South Africa is so mixed up. So in other words, you take a material conception. God is very strong. All right, then he must have muscles, because how can you be strong without muscles? So they go to the health and racket club and they look at the strongest person. Oh, Mr. Universe. Well, that must be what God is like. But Krishna, he doesn't have muscles. He's lifting Govardhan Hill. You see? There's no muscles. He doesn't have like enormous biceps. But you take a material conception. So it's wrong. You don't take a material conception and apply it to spiritual life. Spiritual conception is a whole new ball game. It's a whole nother dimension. If you try to understand God, Radha and Krishna, through material conception, is like trying to put an elephant on a plate. An elephant doesn't fit on a plate. Forget it. But this is what the scientists and the atheists try to do. Bring God down to their dimension. So they understand Radharani is very beautiful. So they think the most beautiful woman, Miss India, Miss USA, Miss World, Miss Universe. And they think, oh, that must be how Radharani is. But that's not a fact. It's described the ornaments that Radharani wears are beautified by her. Generally, a woman puts the ornaments on and it makes the woman look more beautiful. Earrings, kajal. But when Radharani has kajal put on her, she looks more beautiful. She appears more beautiful. You understand? She beautifies her ornaments. The ornaments don't beautify her. It's a whole different ballgame. So it's important that we understand properly the nature of Radha and Krishna. Otherwise, we'll think it's mundane. But in the spiritual world, these things do go on. And Prabhupada talks about this in the 3rd canto, chapter 31. Because in the material world, there is a relationship between a man and woman, it must also exist in the absolute truth. Because a man has the weakness of being captivated by a woman. And that's true. Men do have that weakness. And because a woman has a special type of Shakti that can attract a man. And that's also true. A woman has that type of potency. Where does it come from? It must come from the Supreme. So that must also exist in the spiritual world. Do you understand? Janmadeshayata. Everything emanates from the absolute truth. So the potency that a woman has to attract a man also is there in Radha and Krishna's pastimes. And a man's weakness to be attracted, to be controlled by a woman is also there in the spiritual world. So Krishna is a supreme male. So can he be attracted by an ordinary mundane woman? No. And Prabhupada gives the example. Even Haridas Thakur, who was not God, he was a devotee of the Lord. He was tempted by Maya personified. The personification of Maya appeared as a beautiful woman and tried to tempt Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur said, no, forget it. I'm too busy chanting Hare Krishna. And for 3 nights he chanted Hare Krishna. And Maya personified could not bewilder him. She tried. She tried her hardest. She couldn't do it. So if a devotee of the Lord is not attracted by Maya, then imagine Krishna himself. How can he be controlled by a mundane material woman? He cannot. So when Krishna is controlled, it has to be a spiritual personality. So that's Radharani. Radharani, because of her love for Krishna, she has the ability to control Krishna. She has the ability to attract him. And Krishna has this weakness. He wants to be attracted by his devotees. He wants to be attracted by all of you also. Krishna is controlled by his devotees. What is it that the devotees have that control Krishna? Bhakti. Bhakti mam avijananti. Only by bhakti can I be controlled. Bhakti tvananya sakyam aham evam vidu arjuna gyatam justam jatatvain pravistam parantapaha. Only by devotional service can I be understood. Thus I can be seen directly, standing in front of you. So Krishna, when someone has bhakti, then he becomes weak. He becomes controlled by that person who has the bhakti. Now that may be a man, it may be a spiritual woman, a spiritual man, it may be the cows in the spiritual world. It makes no difference. Krishna is attracted by this bhakti, this love. But the highest type of love is conjugal. Like friends may have love. And it can be very powerful. The friendships between two friends, that love can be very powerful. But higher than that is the love the parents have for the child. Would you agree? That's more intense. It's more all-consuming. It's more concentrated. But you can go higher than that. Husband and wife. That's even more intense. Especially when they first get married. Then after it sort of fades off. And then they divorce. Divorce comes later. But when they first get married, it's, I love you. And then the woman goes, I love you back. But there's something even higher than that. And what's higher than that? When the man and woman fall in love and they haven't yet married. They're about to get married, or they're paramours. You know? Do you know how much time a man spends on the phone speaking to the woman before they get married? I know this for a fact. One of my devotees, I know for a fact, phoned his future 96 times in the course of 1 month on a cell phone. All right, I'll phone you again in a few minutes. 1 hour later. That's how it is. The other day, I was in, where was I? I was in Newcastle, somewhere. Forget exactly where. And it was 10 o'clock at night. So I went outside the house to chant. I chant at night for about 2 hours. I chant 16 rounds till midnight. So I was chanting up and down at night, and I looked through the window, through the garden, and there was a boy, and he was on the phone. You know, and I thought, oh, must be making some late night call. 1 hour later, he was still on the phone. 2 hours later, he was still on the phone. This is till midnight. Now, I had chanted 16 rounds. So I walked in and I said to the parents, he said, I don't know your family at all, but I know one of your sons is engaged. And they said, how you knew? Oh, how you knew that? And I said, it's very simple. I just timed him, you know. He spent 1 hour, 55 minutes on the phone. It could only be his girlfriend. And they said, yes. And we're lucky he's paying for the bill. So the relationship between the paramour, the man and the woman, the girl and the boy, before they're married, it's more intense. Would you agree? After they married, it comes down a little bit because they're married. And then after 1 or 2 months, they get sick of each other. And then after 1 or 2 years, they divorce. That's the material world. So in the spiritual world, this relationship Krishna has with Radharani is paramour. She has the conception she's married. She's not married. She has the conception. The word is abhiman. Abhiman means conception. Just like you look at a light bulb. Look at the light bulb and you turn the light off. And you close your eyes, you can still see the light bulb in your eyes. But it's only an image. So abhiman means conception. Radharani thinks she's married. She's not. All the gopis think they're married, but they're not actually married at all. But if they didn't think they were married, it wouldn't be exciting. Then they have to try to dodge their husbands. They have to try to escape. But they're actually not even married. In the spiritual world, the husband's is only a conception that Abhimanyu exists. He doesn't really exist, but there's an idea he exists. I'll give you another example. You go into your room at midnight and you think there's a ghost there. Now there may not be a ghost, but you think there's a ghost there. It's almost as if there's a ghost, right? And you're scared. You have a feeling, a conception. Maybe there's a ghost. And that's enough. You're scared. So the gopis have a conception. We are married. Krishna has a conception. I'm a cowhead boy. He's actually God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he thinks, I'm a young boy, 15 years old. And Radharani is a young girl, 14 years, 2 months, and 15 days. And I'm in love with Radharani, and she's in love with me. And we meet, but sometimes it's very difficult to meet. Because Jatila is there, and Kotila is there, and Abhimanyu. And then there are other gopis who are trying to sneak in. But this is all for pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So these things have to be understood from the right source. If you hear this from a Sahajya, if you hear it from a so-called Hindu Swami, you'll be ruined. You'll get the wrong understanding. One has to hear it from the proper source. But because the relationship between a man and woman is there in the material world, it's also there in the spiritual world. And Prabhupada has explained this. So Krishna is attracted by Radharani. Radharani attracts Krishna because of her bhakti. Not because she's particularly good looking. It's her bhakti. It's her love. So you can also attract Krishna. You may be living in Phoenix. You can attract Krishna. You can attract Mahaprabhu to come into your heart. Simply based on your devotion. Simply based on your bhakti. So please work on this. Bhakti is so powerful. Just think about this. That Krishna is a supreme controller. Not a blade of grass moves without his sanction. Not a leaf will rustle without his sanction. The clouds don't move without his sanction. The sun rising, the moon rising and setting. But that supreme controller can come under your control. You may be living in Phoenix, North Coast. You might not be very wealthy. You might be a housewife, an old lady. But you can attract Krishna by your devotion. And he can come and manifest in your heart. He can dance in front of you. And Radharani can also come. Radha and Krishna, Lita, Vishaka, they can all manifest in front of you. Based on the power of your bhakti. Based on the power of your devotion. This is how powerful is bhakti. The only way to conquer the unconquerable Lord is through bhakti. And Radharani is the example. When Krishna sees Radharani, then his turban falls to one side. He drops his flute. His yellow shawl slips to the ground. Krishna's legs become a little bit wobbly. When Krishna sees Radharani, his legs become a little wobbly. He forgets himself. He forgets who he is, where he is. He has to check himself. This is the power of Radharani's bhakti. And when Radharani sees Krishna, same thing happens. She also becomes overwhelmed with affection. Vilasa Lankara, Lalitra Lankara, all these different emotions start manifesting. But she's got it together a bit more, and she keeps it together a bit more. Because women do keep things together a bit better. And just like in the material world, when you have a relationship between a man and a woman, who makes the first move? Think about it. Who makes the first move? The man. But who thinks first of loving relationships? The woman. Loving relationships come in a woman's heart first. But the man is always the one who makes the first move. Right? That's how it works in the material world. In the spiritual world, it's the same thing. Radharani feels emotion for Krishna more than Krishna feels for her. And she feels it first. And she feels it deeper. But Krishna always makes the first move. He will say something to you. Oh, who are you? And she will say, what do you mean, who am I? You don't know who I am? And Krishna will say, well, if I knew who you were, I wouldn't ask who you are. And she says, anyhow, my name is Radharani, and you know that anyhow. So we're too busy picking flowers, so I'm afraid we can't speak with you. So there's a conversation between Radha and Krishna. But Krishna instigates it. Starts off with him. But Radharani first has the feelings of emotion. There's Purva Rag, man, Pravas, Kinchit Dura Pravas, Sudura Pravas, and Prem Vaichitya. Radharani feels it first and deeper. Krishna feels it secondary. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has described this in great detail. Purva Rag means feelings of love before the beloved and the lover have met. Before they've met, feelings of love, called Purva Rag. Purva means before. Feelings of emotion before. So Radharani feels it first and deeper than Krishna. So that same Radharani appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore we worship Mahaprabhu in the mood of Radharani, especially in Jagannath Puri. So we just spoke a few things. These things are a little esoterical, not easy to understand. We shouldn't always be keen to hear about Leela, pastimes. One has to understand the philosophy, and then the Leela makes sense. So thank you very much. Shri Shri Radha Radhanatha ki jai, Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Hari ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gau Premanandi. What is the process of taking initiation from a spiritual master? If a devotee joins ISKCON, why do we have to follow so much rules set out by the temple authorities? Well, the rules and regulations are there to help us. They're there to help us. They're not just arbitrarily. It's not like a bunch of GBC people are wasting their time writing things down. No, these rules and regulations are there to help us. So when a devotee first joins the movement, they should accept Srila Prabhupada, I have a picture of him over there, as their guru. And they shouldn't immediately choose one of Prabhupada's disciples as a guru, because they don't know on what basis to choose. They might choose sentimentally. Many of us are a little bit sentimental, and we will choose someone because they sing nicely, or because they smiled at me or something, or because they choose this guru because he gave a flower garland or something. So they shouldn't be sentimental. First, for the first 6 months or 1 year, the disciple should try to read the books and understand what is a guru. How can you choose a guru when you don't know what is the guru? And then you're supposed to be a disciple. Well, first you should know what is a disciple. A disciple is someone who is disciplined. Do you want to become disciplined? Do you? You have to be honest with yourself. If you don't want to become disciplined, then what's the use in choosing a guru? It's like choosing a film star. Or you choose a guru who doesn't discipline you. Sometimes disciples are like that. They choose a guru who's very soft, because he doesn't get on my case. He doesn't ask me how many rounds I do. That's good. I only see him a few days a year. That's good. So I can get away with doing a lot of nonsense. That means you're a nonsense. So there are people like that. So first, you join the movement, you read the books, you understand a bit about Krishna consciousness, And then you understand what is a guru and what is a disciple and what's the relationship. Otherwise you don't know what is a relationship. So that's why the rules and regulations are there, that you wait before you choose the guru for a while. And then gradually you learn more, and then you can choose guru. The way we choose guru is first is Siksha Guru. Siksha Guru means anyone who gives you advice based on scripture. So you have one or two Siksha Gurus who you go to and give you advice. They give you advice based on scripture. And then you may have 2 or 3 Siksha Gurus or 2 Siksha Gurus who are giving you advice based on scripture. And then one of those you'll have more faith in than the others. Everyone's looking at the cake now. No one's looking at me. No one's even listening to me. All they're doing is looking at the cake. Huh? We have such a short span of attention, isn't it? Lucky you can't smell it. If you could smell it, you'd all be unconscious. I'm also looking at it, but you couldn't tell, you see. I'm looking at you and I was looking at the cake. But I can tell when you look at it. And I've learned how to talk and look at funny things at the same time. I can look at a cake and carry on talking very happily. You don't know what I'm thinking. But you haven't learned how to do that, you see. You can't do that. But I've been talking for 30 years, so I've learned the art, how to fool people. I'm very good at fooling people. I saw the cake when it was way outside there. So, initiation, another important thing is that everyone should get initiated. If you're not hankering or keen or enthusiastic to get initiated, it means you haven't understood the process. We should want to get initiated. It's a great honor for a family member to be connected to the Gaudiya Brahma Sampradaya. It blesses all of your family members. It's a great honor. It blesses all your family members for one person in the family to be initiated. So we should want to get initiated, but we should do it in a proper way. First follow the rules and regulations, gradually come up to 16 rounds, and then pass the test. And then we get the pranam prayers, and then we choose the guru. And we should do it in a careful way also. We shouldn't just rush into it and do it after 1 month or 2 months. But someone who's been chanting for 1 year or 2 years, they can start thinking about this. Dear Maharaj, Hare Krishna, I heard that there are different types of tulsi plants. Are all types of tulsi plants worshipable? Yes, all types of tulsi plants are worshipable. I know Syam Tulsi, and I know Ram Tulsi, but I think there's others. But the basil is related to Tulsi, but basil is not worshipable in the same way that Tulsi is. Basil. Many times they have a basil tree near the janda, but that's not Tulsi. So there is no benefit from offering arti or incense to the basil. We offer to the Tulsi. Can you tell us about an extremely odd place in the whole world where ISKCON is situated? Yes, Phoenix, South Africa. It's an extremely odd place. It's the bottom of the world. You get all funny types of people, all different colors. And some or other I got stuck here, and we're preaching here. It's a very odd place. But nevertheless, Lord Chaitanya's mercy is making it auspicious. Dear Maharaj, we love the temple program very much, but it does not finish on time or very late at night due to the crime rate, which is so high. It is so unsafe for devotees to travel late in the night due to hijacking. Yesterday morning a devotee family got hijacked for their vehicle and all their belongings, and we left helpless, and were left helpless on the roadside. Thanks to Krishna, they were not killed. I wish if you could bring this up for the management and resolve the situation. Hari Bol. Well, I'm not involved in temple management, but I like doing these late night programs, and I always move around starting at 7 at night, and I never take rest before midnight. I'm often traveling 9 at night, 10 at night, 11 at night. So far I haven't been hijacked, but this increases your dependence on putting your faith in Krishna. Put more faith in Krishna. So I suggest those persons concerned with the crime rate and getting hijacked, put more faith in the holy name, chant more sincerely. You can take every precaution, but still your heart will stop beating and you collapse. People get hijacked in the daytime. People get attacked in the mornings and afternoons. One of our devotees in Russia, it was a lady, a disciple of mine. It was one of my first disciples. And she was going to Mangalati, 4:30 in the morning. Usually you don't get the crooks at 4:30 in the morning. But 2 Russian crooks attacked her. And they beat her. And they stole her handbag and her bead bag. 4:30 in the morning. So it can happen any time. We have to just prepare ourselves by becoming more detached from this material world. Sanatana Goswami has said that, try to understand this, it is an axiomatic truth of devotional science that until you give up attachment to the insubstantial, you'll never understand the Supreme. It is an axiomatic truth of spiritual science. In other words, it's a truth of bhakti, of the science of bhakti, that until you give up attachment to the insubstantial, until you give up attachment to material things, your wife, husband, your car, your children, you'll never properly understand spiritual life. So give up attachment, then when the crooks come and they steal, you don't care. So what? They've stolen. If they want to have it, let them have it. I have bhakti. They can't steal my bhakti. That's more important. Hare Krishna, question 5. People who meditate, their ultimate goal is to merge with God. Please explain this. Well, the impersonalists, also called the Mayavadis, they want to merge with God. We do not support this idea of merging with God. A bird flies into the tree and becomes one with the tree, but it's not one with the tree. It still has its separate identity along with the branches and the twigs and the leaves and the fruit and the other animals living in the tree. So you don't merge with God. This is called impersonalism. This is usually what is taught in Hinduism. These different Hindu groups usually teach impersonalism. We don't. Actually, the Hare Krishna movement is the only movement which is teaching that we have an individual, separate relationship with God. All these other Hindu groups are teaching that you merge with God. All of them. Every single one of them. And we're the only Vaishnava group. Vaishnava means that we have a separate, independent relationship with God. And when you attain mukti, or liberation, you do not merge with God. Question 6. Is the Hare Krishna movement, is ISKCON the biggest movement in the world? Well, honestly speaking, it's not the biggest movement in the world. It's not the biggest religious movement in the world. But we're the only bona fide religious movement in the world. All the others are cheating. There are other Vaishnava groups, Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers and disciples of his godbrothers who are preaching. That's the Gaudiya Math. They're also bona fide. So together with the Gaudiya Math and ISKCON, these are the only bona fide religious groups in the entire world. But we're not the biggest. We make the most noise. People think we're all over the world. Just like there was one devotee, he was preaching in Russia. before communism collapsed. And he was preaching undercover in Russia. And the KGB, they caught him. So they were interrogating him. And they were saying, is this ISKCON? How big is this ISKCON? That's a Russian accent. So the devotee thought, well, I have to tell them the truth. Now there's only a few of us in Russia. This is in the 1970s. There's only a few of us in East Germany, Czechoslovakia, and Russia. So I can't tell him there's only a handful. So I'll tell him there's 10,000. And then he'll think we're quite big. And then he'll release me. Because if he thinks we're quite big, then he'll be more careful with me. So the devotee said, well, I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you the truth. We're a big organization. There's over 10,000 of us. And the Russian KGB said, you lie. You are the lying dog. This ISKCON is much bigger than that. Anyhow, you go away now. So he sent him away. So there's only a few of us, but we make a lot of noise. They think we're about to take over the world, But there's only a couple thousand of us, but we just make a lot of noise. You were mentioning that Srimati Radharani's ornaments and clothes are a product of her Mahabhav. They are conscious. Are they living entities present in those objects since they are conscious? Radharani expands herself, and her bodily expansions are called Kayuvha. The bodily expansions of Radharani are called Kayuvha. So Lalita, Vishaka, Champakalata, Chitra, Rangadevi, Sudevi, Tungavijaya, Induleka, even Rupa Manjari are Kayuvha, bodily expansions of Radharani. They're not Jiva Tattva, they're Shakti Tattva. So her garments and her clothes are also bodily expansions of herself. They're not jivas, they're bodily expansions. Rupa Goswami was a bodily expansion of Radharani. It is said that Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur was a partial expansion of Rupa Goswami because he so perfectly understood Rupa Goswami's teachings. So this is very deep subject matter. One could even think of one's guru, Srila Prabhupada, as Jiva Tattva, or one may care to think of him as bodily expansion. Depends on your realization, adhikar. These are personal things that one may realize or one may not realize in the course of time. So, anyone have any other questions? You can ask out aloud. Last kirtan. So we'll have a short kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo